game-changing discussions on the big ideas that shape our thinking. This is One2One.
She's a legend of stage and screen, a pioneer whose artistry has shaped generations of Nigerian performers. From the theatre halls of Lagos to international film sets, Joke Silva has carried the torch for excellence, integrity, and purpose in storytelling. Joke Silva, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Tokunbo. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful to have you. The pleasure is all mine.
Thank
all
you.
mine. I have to start here. How early in your life did you know, did you become convinced that you wanted to act? And what inspired that decision?
That I wanted to. That would be during my A-levels. I mean, I'd been acting as a kid and all that, but I wanted to be a medical doctor like my mom. All right. My mom was almost like my demigod. You know, and I wanted to be a medical doctor like her, but I was useless at the sciences. I failed chemistry. I hated biology. I was good in physics, but I then dropped physics so that I could take English. You know? Yes, you know, and I actually got into Loughborough and I got into Warwick. Both universities said, okay, if you can just get a B in your English, you know, whether you get whatever you get in the others, you know, it's okay.
They would let you into medicine?
Yes, they would. No, they would not medicine. I would then get into theatre. Into theatre arts, because they realized that I wasn't. Medicine wasn't for me, you know. But you know, by the time I started applying to the universities, and I guess if we're looking at what was the inspiration, I will always point to Auntie Bidun Allison, the amebo of village headmaster. Now, I will always, honestly, because I sit down as a little girl, I'm watching village headmaster, and you know, there is amebo. Not tell them, say, "Let me tell you," you know, and she's going her usual way, you know, the village gossip.
And that word just entered into the lexicon.
Exactly. Exactly. Amebo was the person who was the gossip. And then she's being interviewed. I can't even remember which program it was, but it was on NTA. She was being interviewed. And the standard English that she spoke incredibly impeccable.
I remember.
And she was so eloquent.
Yes.
And I said to myself, oh my word, this is it. I want to be this, you know. But because we also had quite a few people around the family who were in the business, and we knew how hard it was, you know, so I was kind of like, you know, I needed the Lord to tell me that this is where it's, because if I didn't have that, when the challenges did come, I have a feeling that I wouldn't have stayed, because it's tough. Yeah.
And I can imagine that Bibido Allison, I'm a boy, embodied so much for you, because there was also Elsie Olushola.
Yes, there was
Clara.
Yes, but you see, the thing is that Auntie Elsie had seen in real life afterwards. All right, and Auntie Elsie really didn't speak pidgin. She spoke normal English, you know. Yes, and I mean she could switch. She code switched. You know, but Auntie Bidun, that for me was just so incredible. Yeah. And then the fact that when she was talking about attending Guildhall School of Drama. She had gone to drama school, you know. So for me, that really was the inspiration. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
pure, impeccable. No code switching there.
No.
Yeah, I remember her very well.
Yes.
So you trained at the Webber Douglas Academy in London.
Yes.
How did that grounding in theatre shape your approach to acting on screen?
I think what theatre does for you as a performer is that it first of all once you can get away from the bigness of theater, because theater is it's huge, it's large, and the camera is very intimate
And full of larger than life characters,
yes,
like you.
And the camera is very intimate. So when you move away from that technique of bigness to something more intimate, right? Once you can master that, I think what theater then brings to the camera, there's a kind of extra, I believe. I mean, you find all theater practitioners say that a depth to performance that you would find that non-theater people hardly have, they're very used to the intimacy of the character.
Yeah.
But the theater practitioner is so used to delving into why a character is like this, I guess just trying to get to the kernel of the character. Yes. That's what I think.
Of course, and I'm particularly interested in that. I started this conversation by saying, actually, what the image you conjure up for me is
Judy Dench. I think that is such an incredible compliment. Thank you.
And that it's what she brings from an early background
in theatre. Yes. And you know the amazing thing about Dame Judy Dench was that she was in theatre for so long, and I think she did television. She did a bit of television, but it was mostly theatre until well into her 60s. And yes, and then film work started coming.
In the 60s, is that when it happened?
Yes.
Oh, see,
she did mostly television, TV series. Oh God, I'm trying to.
There was a on TV,
but yes, but she was on TV and a lot of theatre, and then film came. Yeah,
and there is that pattern amongst established British actors. I've been thinking about Emma Thompson as well.
Yes,
I mean,
she's amazing.
She is. She's incredibly amazing. You see Patrick Stewart on screen, but you can see him when he disappears to play Othello.
Exactly.
He can recap.
And I think, and it's something that I say to a lot of my students, that try and explore all the platforms of performance, because it gives you longevity. Because if you're not getting work on film, then make sure you're getting work on stage. If you're not getting work on stage, make sure you're getting work in voice performance. Just explore all the platforms. Yeah.
And these people are not simply transitioning from one background to another. Toby Jones is playing Iago in the West End.
Okay.
Yes. And these people are, that's the life you live.
Yes.
I suppose. But but your point is it gives you that depth coming across. So I'm interested in that. Let's talk about our own industry.
Okay.
Let's talk about our movie industry. Look, Nollywood. I mean, people like you have carried Nollywood on your shoulders. I mean, the entire industry stands on the shoulders of people like you, and that background and stage is what you've just, the depth it gives you is what you've just eloquently described. But do you feel that there's something missing now? Do you feel that Nollywood misses out on that stronger connection with stage? And is that translating into an absence of depth?
I do. I believe so very much. I think, first of all, it affects the writing. You'll find that, good writers who have a good background in stage writing, there's just there's a certain layer of gravitas that they bring to the work, And then when you go from that into writing for television, then you let the language becomes minimal. Language becomes very, you use language when necessary, and you look for you articulate specifically for the character that you're writing for the camera. You find that when people do not have that background, they tend to be very less, the writing is very watery, doesn't convey that much,
That's euphemism for it's rubbish.
No, you won't find me saying that because
euphemisms are very helpful.
Because I find that one thing my husband always says is that there's no script that is absolutely useless. There's always something to salvage from it, and he'll work and keep working at it and salvage it. But I think we're getting more work in the theatre now. There was a time when theatre kind of totally collapsed, and we're getting it back slowly but surely. There's a lot of work that Bolanle Austin Peters is doing. There's a lot of work that Duke of Shomolu is doing. We do some work. We're hoping to give another platform to the classics of Nigeria. So we're looking at the Oshofi songs, we're looking at the Ahmeds, we're looking at, all the tried and tested writers, for the simple reason that we believe that our children need to know that they exist. We all know that we're very lucky with Wole Soyinka. He's global. He's everybody's property. And so it would be really remiss of us if our children do not know of Wole Soyinka. But a lot of them don't know an Oshofi song. They don't know Wale Ogunyemi. They don't, so many of our writers, it says to some of them, talk to them about J.P. Clark, and they're like, okay, J.P. Clark, who is that? And and they're not even only our own tried and tested writers, but what about those of the continent? There are works from across the continent that we're just not, that we need to let this generation, a younger generation, a generation younger than us, know about these writers.
Yes. And there's such richness in what has gone before. We do have a responsibility to preserve.
Exactly.
Amazing works. As you were talking, I remembered the Bojo De.
Yes.
I mean, it would be criminal not to preserve that.
Exactly. Yeah, and even when we talk about Wole Soyinka, a lot of people really don't even know all his works. They'll talk about Kongi's Harvest simply because it carries his name, his nickname, Kongi, But excuse me, I mean, a Dance of the Forest, they just swamp dwellers, Bakai of the Euripides. So much work.
So much work he's done quietly over the years. And it's a very good time in this conversation, therefore, to talk about a symbol, something that does embody this period that we are, and the entire discourse, really. There is, of course, that hat-shaped edifice sitting in the middle of Gomu.
Yes.
The National Theatre.
Yes.
Every nation ought to have a National Theatre.
Yes.
And you talked about the dip in the glorious era of the theatre.
Yes.
Perhaps coincided very nicely with the deterioration, the dilapidation of the National Theatre.
It did.
Talk to me a bit about that.
Yes.
And whether or not you expect a renaissance now that we have a new National Theatre.
Okay. So I can tell you about, I was very lucky I was very blessed to have worked in the glorious days of the National Theatre. I'm talking about the late 80s into 1981. You know, I performed Jero's Metamorphosis, Wole Soyinka's Jero's Metamorphosis, which really didn't have much to do with Trials of Brother Jero, even though they seem to have the same hero. You know, it's a much more political play. Trials of Brother Jero is very much of a comedy, poking fun at the celestial arm of Christianity, you know, just having fun and, you know, domestic life and things like that. But Jero's Metamorphosis was very much about the military politics. You know, that was what Jero's Metamorphosis was about. It was an incredible piece of work. We did that in 1981, and then we also did Nigeria's 21st anniversary in both these plays I'm talking about were in the main bowl of the National Theatre, and at that time the revolving stage it worked, you know, and we worked for a long time. However, I can also say something else about the National at the time. The National had cinema. A lot of our people went to the National Theatre to watch films.
I was going to go there with you next.
Yes.
So carry on.
Now, and there was a time when Pa Ogunde transitioned into film and they put Aye on film. The National, and it was always in the National Theatre. I mean, everybody knew not to go to the National Theatre when Pa Ogunde was showing film. Don't bother putting anything else, and nobody else. And they was big,
and it was National Theatre.
And then it was, you know, you had people queuing. You used to have like 3 or 4 shows in a day. And people, for each show, there was a queue right onto the streets, you know, because people just, I remember one of the reasons why the main bowl was actually shut down, you know, apart from later on it caved in, but before then, it was that the crowd were so insistent on getting in to watch Aye that they broke the doors. They broke the door down. You know, that amount of people, you know, and working in the main bowl, even with drama, not film, with drama, we used to have, the hall was full. That 3,000, almost 4,000 seater was full, always. I mean, we didn't have all these gizmos. It was just NTA and the theatre. But then after that, when we couldn't use the main bowl that much for anymore, we then used the cinema halls for theatre. And there was a time when Pa Ogunde was actually showing a film. And it wasn't Aye. I don't know what he was showing at the time. And we were performing Olu's play, Holy Child, a musical that he wrote in English, you know. And we were performing in the cinema hall, and we got an audience. And so Pa Ogunde now came to see us himself, Adelove. They came to see us in the cinema hall. Have been asking, who is it that's diverting some of the audience? Who is? And then it turns out that they knew each other from London. Yes, Olu had been the voice on a documentary that the BBC had done on him. So they had worked together, or they had, you know, kind of collaborated together on that work. So he was so happy to see Olu at the time. You know, so then at the time we did so many plays in the cinema hall, sitting like over 750 people. And a lot of times when we did our plays, and, you know, it was standing room only, you know, it was theatre. But what tended to happen was that the theatre, you know, you'd get sponsors who would sponsor a show, and they would bring in, okay, you say the air conditioning is not working, they'll bring in air conditioning. They'll buy new air conditioners. The next play they're going to do, those air conditioners have gone.
They've just gone.
To where?
They know you swept. Yeah,
You know,
so,
and then also sometimes when you came in as an independent producer, you know, and you wanted to do a show, all of a sudden somebody would say, the person who's putting on the lights would say he has to be seen. You see him. Then when you want to do your afternoon show, the person, it's a different person who has to be seen. Otherwise, you are not going to get. I mean, it just became so ridiculous that people looked for other places to work. And I must confess, I mean, during Uncle Bayo Dune's time, during Ahmed Yarima's time, both of them tried so hard to keep the theatre working, to keep, you know, to keep interest in the theatre. I remember Ahmed Yarima very specifically just trying to renovate with the little he had. And it was an uphill task. It really needed a huge injection of funds. And so the new refurbished National Theatre is so amazing.
You say that with so much.
Yeah, I know. You know, you need to have, because one knew it in its glory days. One knew what it embodied.
Yeah.
The National Theatre, it has the floor in the VIP section is of green granite. All right. The tiles are green granite. Right. Now, bringing together those tiles is brass. Can you imagine brass on the floor? You know, the covering of the doors of the lift are brass, embossed brass. The pillars around the National Theatre are carvings by Fakeye, people from Edo. You have, you know, and then the stained glass window is by Grillo. Do you get? And then on the outside you have mosaic by Emokpai.
Oh.
I mean, so that they, you know, all the time when they were trying to, either buy it over or knock it down, a group of us, various people, the practitioners would protest, first of all, that you can't. This is a theatre and it must remain a theatre. It must remain a place for creative, for the creative industry. So there were always protests. And then I would take, if somebody wants to do this, knock it down. I'll say, okay, wait, let me take you around. And I'll take them around and I'll say, this is this, this is this, this is this. And by then they'll say, okay, we can't. There's no way we can knock this down. How can we work? How can we preserve it? And this refurbishment, honestly, the bankers committee needs to be given, I don't know how many medals. Not only for pumping money, it's easy to pump money. Do you get? Yeah. But to preserve.
Yeah. That requires an understanding to begin with.
Exactly. They preserved, I mean, the way they preserved Grillo's works, because, you know, if anything happens to those stained glass windows, we lose them. And we cannot replace them. Grillo has passed on. You know, it's like Fakeye, they've passed on. All of them, all the masters that were a part and parcel of that building, they've all passed on. We cannot afford to replicate what we have there, you know. So I really appreciate the understanding of the preservation. And then, not only did they preserve it, they've also then expanded on the vision. So when you walk in through Simran Hall, let's say entrance C of the National Theatre, you have this long lines of light, which actually are reminiscent of our tribal marks.
Oh, I see.
Do you understand? Yes. So there's that, you know, it's a continuous flow. You get? And so I really appreciate what they've done a lot. So the thing is, there's a line from one of my husband's plays that we must make sure we do everything possible to never make it necessary for anybody to have to go through that journey of refurbishing the National Theatre ever again. So we have to make sure that we keep it vibrant and we keep it well maintained.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we started this by talking about the National Theatre as being symbolic, emblematic of the roots of your industry.
Yes.
But actually, you're also speaking about our cultural foundations.
Yeah.
You're speaking about society, what makes us
who
we
are. Exactly. I mean, can you see all those artists that they're bringing together? They're Christian, they're Muslim, they're followers of the traditional religion. They're from different parts of Nigeria. All of them, all their works are embedded in that.
Absolutely.
Letter. Yes.
So, Lady Joke Silva.
Nice title. Thank you.
Speaking of titles, I'll come back to that in a minute. But across 4 decades on stage and screen, I'd like to know, when have you felt the most alive? And what would you say has been the defining highlight of your career?
Oh, I really need to think, because I get asked this question and I never know what answer to give, because I love performing, in theater. I really do. It's something that I find so, especially when I hit the character, when I finally get the character, to just be able to embody that character and offer her to the audience and say, here she is, here's this person. And, being in collaboration with other storytellers because it's a very collaborative industry. And, you're with other, and everybody gets, everybody has found their character, and then we're performing and we're offering it, everything, the director's work, the costume, we're offering it to the audience and getting the response from the audience, who are the final, the final sealing of it. I don't know if anybody can describe it. It's to be able to get that, for any part.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
That's your sweet spot right there. And speaking of characters, you are precisely what the Irish would describe as a character.
Am I?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Larger than life.
Really?
People are a real force of nature.
Oh, thank you.
And speaking of titles, yes, we have heard Madame Joke Silva, Lady Joke
Yes,
Silva.
I've had so many.
Okay, so therefore,
yes,
Dame Joke Silva. Thank you.
I think I have the Nigerian version.
Thank you for joining us on
Thank
One
you
to
for
One.
having
A real
me.
pleasure.
God bless
God
you.
bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.